Hi everyone, this is Quinn Eman, and she's going to... I can't believe I just did that. I'm so sorry. I never screw up your pronouns when I'm out of your sight. It's just that...
I mean, I'm at this point where I see a dudette debating a mannequin about pronouns, and I think we're all tripping here. Hello, you guys, gals, and non-binary pals out there. I just marched through week 2 of queer theory, key terminology and concepts just for you. And I've come away with so many thoughts and impressions. Just kidding. Well, actually, yeah, but not the ones you'd expect from an attendee of a course on alternate sexualities. Now, one of my more controversial impressions that I got from today is that queer studies isn't just a campaign to normalize your mother saying, "Oh, honey, you can date anybody you want as long as you love them enough to take a bullet for them."
Love is love is love. No, it's not. That's bullshit. That is a lie we had to make up to convince you idiots to finally treat us fairly.
Hey, remember, bros? Turns out that queer theory also integrates aspects of identity politics such as feminism, the sexual revolution, and ethical non-monogamy, where love is ambiguous at best and optional at worst. Wait till Jacob McWilliams here gets to speech codes. All of this, a powerful epiphany for anyone who's ever wondered, wait, so why do we need a course on queer stuff again? Just live your life. No, there's more. There's so much more. A lot of politicization and deconstruction. It's not just pure altruism in a vacuum. Stay tuned for a detailed deconstruction.
Hello, I am Dr. Katie Mormon,
And I am Dr. Jacob McWilliams.
and this video discusses important terms that we'll be using to talk about gender and sexuality. It's very important to understand and know how to use current language and terminology when talking to and about queer and transgender people. Language that describes gender and sexual diversity is...
Okay, wait a minute. I thought we were against othering people. I have a corn chip here. I thought that the purpose of LGBT was to gain the right to be inconspicuous in everyday life, just like straight people.
Today, the word queer is used in multiple ways. Sometimes it's used to describe radical political or philosophical commitments, sometimes to describe academic approaches to critique or analysis.
Ah, I knew it. I knew that there was more than just a de facto acceptance and blending in. I mean, how else do you rouse the rabbles? That's right, justice activism, political activism.
We've chosen to use the word queer throughout this course for 2 reasons. First, we think it's more inclusive than the LGBTQ+ acronym because it encompasses more identities than the LGBTQ+ acronym does.
Okay, you kind of do have a point, and I'll tell you why. I say queer sometimes because LGBTQIA is such a mouthful to pronounce. Don't make me say it. Well, why are the rules like this? Queer isn't a slur, sometimes, depends on who you ask, but misgendering, or like if I say that I think yaoi is gross, it's literally violence or something. Who makes up these rules? Are the lizard people on top of the global food chain at it again?
Queer theory rejects the assumption that there is a, quote, normal gender identity, a normal sexual orientation, or a normal way to express gender and sexuality.
Wait a minute. So, does that mean my tomboy friends are queer? Is Annie Lennox queer? I understand same-sex attraction. I can understand authentic gender dysphoria. But people who don't conform to gender stereotypes equals queer? I guess we're all a little bit queer in the end by that logic. Oh my god, I just destroyed queer theory.
Systems that only allow people to be identified as either male or female are too limiting for many intersex people. This is because neither label adequately describes them.
Wait a minute. A biological anomaly like being intersex has nothing to do with the scientific consensus that female and male is a biological, scientifically proven reality. Anomalies do not prove the existence of a gender spectrum. Being born with 4 fingers instead of 5 doesn't invalidate a standard. Also, did you know that intersex usually present as either male or female, either born with clearly identifying traits? Vast majority have a micropenis or a large clitoris. So statistically, the vast majority of intersex people are not born directly between male or female, and most intersex people choose to pass as either one gender or the other. Oh look, they gave us a resource, let's use it! Once upon a more narrow-minded time, there weren't nearly as many gender and sexual orientation terms to help folks? Oh my god, I used to use this word for satirical purposes, and today I learned that this actually exists. God. If you're wondering what the actual definition of queer is, Elise, co-founder and executive director of OKSO, says the simplest way to describe it is not straight. For them, it's an identity and or orientation that doesn't align with the heteronormative expectations that everyone's automatically heterosexual and heteromantic. Well, heteronormative is called heteronormative because it's the norm in human nature? Also, I mean, yo, who's everyone? Is that how you label yourself, Cosmopolitan? What's with the me versus rest of the world mentality here? Paschuccio, for example, utilizes the plus sign when referring to the queer community in order to indicate pangender or pansexual individuals and those in alternative relationship communities such as polyamory, kink, or monogamy.
The Catholics were right, everyone. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill.
I mean, I'm not a Catholic, and I freaking don't like Catholicism. But remember when I said this would happen if you politicize and weaponize sexuality and no one believed me? Yeah, Pepperidge Farm remembers. Also, just know that I shit you not when I say that heterosexual couples are now identifying as queer. I didn't come up with that, Cosmopolitan did. Some people within polyamorous or kink communities do identify as queer even if they enjoy solely heterosexual relationships. Now, personally, I am pro do whatever you want in your private life, but don't come lying to me and like the masses, telling people that ethical non-monogamy is so amazing and so great just because it's an alternate sexuality, when I think it was like 80% of participants expressed massive jealousy issues in the relationship. Alright, let's go back to class, folks.
Gender is different. It's an internal sense of where one falls on the spectrum that gauges how feminine or masculine someone is. No one else can tell us our gender because no one else can see it.
My saber.
Another term, gender expression, is used to describe the process of showing our gender to the world. Everybody makes decisions about their gender expression all the time.
That's it then. So, according to queer theory, the scientific consensus all turns down to feelings. It all comes down to how you appear to the world. It's all about the presentation.
We use the word sex to talk about a person's genetic and biological traits. We use gender identity to talk about a person's internal sense of who they are.
No. Did you learn nothing from second wave feminism, which said you can act gender atypical, you can have gender atypical gender expressions, but you're still going to be a biological female or a biological male, whatever your chromosomes say.
For many people, the sex they were assigned at birth lines up pretty well with their gender identity and gender expression. Those people are cisgender.
Hey, wait, wasn't this guy a pedo? Families assuming that their kid will be straight, sorry to burst your bubble, doesn't automatically mean that they don't know about or they don't think that gay people exist. In fact, I don't know a single person who doesn't know that LGBT exists. Ugh, I almost kind of envy them.
Babies are not only designated a sex and a gender when they're born, but they're also assumed to be heterosexual. That is, a baby who has been designated as male is assumed to be sexually and romantically attracted to girls and women.
No, but there's a thing called... There's a thing called statistics, observations.
In general, it's more common for a person to be cisgender than transgender, and it's more common for a person to be heterosexual than queer. By the way, it's also a lot more common for a person to have brown eyes than eyes that are any other color.
Man, I just love how this guy out of nowhere, he went straight for the eye color. Yeah, well, there are more straight people. But by the way, you know what else is common? Brown eyes. That doesn't mean that blue eyes are abnormal. Huh? Orientation is far more complex than eye color, fellas. I think we can all agree on this, no? Like, a couple of people, they're authentically born this way, but there are a lot of people who are like, they do change, they're bi-curious, and then they just go back to, like, the conventional, boring old heterosexual lifestyle. Don't ask me why, but, like, it's... yeah.
When it comes to LGBTQ plus terminology and practices, the rules sometimes feel like they're changing very quickly. In addition to this problem, a lot of us might live and work in communities where we don't interact very much with queer or transgender people.
Dude, even in the San Francisco Bay Area, I hardly even see any gay couples at all. Okay, maybe because I don't hang out in the Castro, but more like Pier 51 for the sunset photography and stuffs. Because maybe some of those, LGBTers, they want to blend in with the heterosexual crowd, Something about equal rights and shit. Remember that?
In this video, we want to offer you some strategies for figuring out how to interact with LGBTQ plus people and to talk about LGBTQ plus issues respectfully and effectively.
Okay, class, I know that koalas are an endangered rare species. It may be challenging because, you never saw those species before, but today I'm gonna give you some strategies on how to carefully approach the koala, also respectfully so it doesn't rip your face off. God, I feel so intellectually insulted.
One risk is that you'll place an extra burden on that person to educate you. Not all LGBTQ plus people want to take on that burden. It can be exhausting to have to help other people learn about our marginalized identities.
Well, good. Thanks for giving me another reason not to hire LGBT people, to talk to them, befriend them. Thanks for convincing all of us, actually. Obviously, I'm being facetious here, but nobody wants to deal with special snowflakes. Second, does anyone else notice this I'ma educate you attitude with people these days? It's like, no, sir. I went to school for 12 years and then college for like 4.5, only to still end up a talentless wagey whose sole pleasures consist of ranting to my AI overlords. I'm done with all y'all educators. I'm done.
Something else that might happen is that you say the wrong thing, use the wrong term, or accidentally offend a queer or transgender person.
How did we go from throwing fellas into jail to like baby-proofing a tiny percentage of a population? I hate the Antichrist. I hate the Antichrist. I hate the Antichrist. I hate the Antichrist. America, please. You're in a domestic abusive situation with the LGBTs. Why? It's not cool. Don't conflate bootlicking for tolerance.
The mannequin's name is Quinn E. Mann, and Quinn uses they-them pronouns. Hi, everyone. This is Quinn E. Mann, and she's going to... Oh my God, I can't believe I just did that. I'm so sorry. I never screw up your pronouns when I'm out of your sight. It's just that when I'm looking at you, I just get it wrong every time. I'm so awful. I feel so terrible. The good thing about this reaction is that it clearly shows that the person wants to be inclusive, even though they just made a mistake.
Hey, that's Charlotte from My Poppy. Am I tripping or what? Probably tripping. Poppy and Charlotte have reportedly done some substances. I mean, I'm at this point where I see a dudette debating a mannequin about pronouns, and I think we're all tripping here.
Quinn doesn't want to have to reassure you or make it about your feelings when they, Quinn, are the one who's been hurt.
Okay, so even an apology doesn't work in this context? Oh la la. That's kind of like my little kid sister who's like, I don't forgive you after I apologize to her. And then she has to prattle on about it for the next decade or so. I don't mean to make a large comparison here, but when I heard... It reminded me of cancel culture where the folks plead for the masses' apologies, but the masses just don't let up. Okay, I'm done. I think I'm done. Altruism, as you can tell, is not my preferred personality trait. Okay, class, let's summarize everything we learned today. Queer is a political act. It's more than just love is love, Timmy. You gotta deconstruct the whole damn system, okay? Everybody's queer in this room, and we're not resting until you too admit that you're queer in some way. Queerness is basically all forms of sexual expression, including ethical non-monogamy, and if you disagree, well, you're a bigot who doesn't like to have fun. Queerness is also a right to everything, because if everything feels good and you disagree, well, you're a bigot! If you F up my gender, I will eat your soul and never forgive you. Alright, everyone, class dismissed. Let me address the other side for a sec. Counter-arguments, if you will. For decades now, the radicals on the left have told us of their hatred of the traditional family, and they have done all they can to see it destroyed. Things like easy no-fault divorce, the rise of the porn culture and androgyny, radical feminism, the homosexual and trans agendas, and the sexual revolution have all been part of this. This is the type of concession that I see a lot of political conservatives have, and I'm here like, fellas, no one's pointing a gun at your head. In fact, I'm going to tell them everything that I've said, like, to the other side just now, which is, you live in a first world country. You can still make the most out of your freedoms with some good choices. I digress.